Hey everyone, welcome to AnimePuffz. Today I'm going to be talking about Lilo and Stitch, but through a personal perspective. This is going to be one of my deepest videos that I've ever made on this channel, so I really hope you like it. Please make sure you literally like and smash that thumbs up button, comment, share, and please follow me on all socials. My Patreon will also be linked in the description box. You get exclusive videos that will not be posted to YouTube. So Lilo and Stitch is and will most likely forever be one of my favorite Disney movies. I feel like Lilo and Stitch was the most real, and I think that it can relate to anyone who's ever felt like an outcast, anyone who's ever felt alone, anyone who's ever struggled from trauma and is trying to overcome it. Lilo and Stitch is that movie.
It's me again. I need someone to be my friend. Someone who won't run away.
And I just feel like it's relatable to all ages. I relate to Lilo and Stitch the same way that I do in present day that I did in the past when I was a child. It just has like universal themes that don't age. Like, we've all lost something like Lilo. Some of us have lost someone close to us. Some of us have lost sense of self. Some of us have, lost our passion. Something has been lost, and some of us have felt like outcasts. So to me, Lilo and Stitch was about the redemption of outcasts. So what is Lilo and Stitch? Lilo and Stitch is a film about a young girl who has unfortunately lost her parents and what is alluded to be a car crash.
That's us before. It was rainy and they went for a drive.
And because of this, her sister Nani is struggling to raise her. Nani is very young and she is struggling to maintain a job because she constantly is losing it because she has to spend so much time with Lilo, or just unfortunate events happen that really prohibit Nani from holding down a job.
This is not working out.
So Nani is on the verge of losing Lilo to child services. However, Nani does not want Lilo to go away because obviously she loves her, but also because she knows that her sister is struggling and suffering from the death of their parents, and Nani believes that she is the only person who understands Lilo. And I took this to be so deep. Right, so let's talk about Lilo. Lilo is strange and she is creepy. She's into creepy things. Like, she literally has a doll named Scrump that looks like a voodoo doll. Lilo also loves to take weird pictures of things that she finds interesting. Like, most of her pictures in her collection are of odd things such as, chunky or fat tourists, eating ice cream. Like, that is so weird. Lilo also has an obsession with old school music. I related so much to her when I watched this movie because Lilo is obsessed with Elvis Presley. What Elvis is to Lilo, Prince is to me, and I've always been like that. Like, I've been obsessed with Prince since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And and it's not, I mean, I think a lot of people like Prince, but for a 5-year-old to be obsessed with Prince and play Prince, like, it's a little strange. Lilo is also into odd and creepy stories. I love that as well. Lilo is just super nerdy. We can just tell by how she talks about Scrump.
This is Scrump. I made her, but her head is too big. So I pretend the bug laid eggs in her ears. And she's upset because she only has a few more days to...
She basically made like a horror backstory for Scrump. Horror / like sci-fi backstory. So she is uber nerdy. And because of all this, including her parents' death and people not understanding how to relate to her since she's experienced something so traumatic, Lilo does not fit in. Her friends have left her and they think that she's weird and she's just too creepy for them. And they're also kind of mean towards her because she has lost her parents in such a horrific way. Her friends, and I use that term loosely because I don't think that Myrtle was a friend to anyone, but her friends have left her, and it just seems like most of the adults in Lilo's life have given up on her with the exception of Nani. Like the dance teacher just shakes his head at her when she becomes aggressive. Cobra Bubbles once was best for Lilo, but he wants to take her away. So it just feels like everyone has given up on her, and because Nani is so focused on Lilo and being a parental figure in Lilo's life, Nani is being discarded as well. So it's really hard. And I personally relate to Lilo because I've always been weird my entire life, and I've been into things that weren't popular. Like now it's like this, you know, cool things to be into dolls, to be into anime, cartoons, to be a Disney nerd. It's a cool thing now. It wasn't a cool thing when I was coming up. It just really wasn't. So I like the fact that so many people are getting, you know, into things that basically people are getting into my niche and it's becoming more popular. However, it just wasn't a cool thing. So I related to her, and oftentimes when I was coming up, I just felt so alone because I didn't feel like anyone could relate to me. Like y'all already know, some of y'all who watch my lives know that I have been a Barbie nerd for years. I used to get, you know, made fun of and bullied for that. I actually threw away my Barbie collection when I was younger, and I've always regretted that. Like my Barbies were probably a little ratchet because I was over here cutting up their hair. So they were a mess. I was deep conditioning their hair, doing their nails, but I always regretted that. And it wasn't until recently that I actually started to rebuild my collection. And I've always been obsessed with witches and other mythical creatures, just everything under the sun. I love horror, I love thrillers, I just don't love too much gore. And overall, I can be very creepy. Even my creepiness, I feel like, is weird to some people because it's like I'm upbeat and perky, but I like creepy shit. I really do. Some of y'all gonna hate me, but I enjoyed in Full Metal Alchemist when Ed and Al thought they were bringing their mother back from the dead, and they brought back this zombie-esque thing. Like, I enjoyed that scene immensely. I love the drawing, I love the animation style, I love how eerie and dark it was. And I just thought it was so cool. So yeah, y'all, sometimes I rewind like death scenes when it comes to like sci-fi and horror. I rewind it and I laugh. So like Lilo, I love just dark and weird things, like growing up creepy, I am her. Coraline, the other mother, is a terrible person. However, I love the way she's animated and how strange the movie is and how uncomfortable it makes me feel. I love it. Like when the other mother show her true side.
3! What are you doing?
And I live for Azula. I think that she is just so off, and her sense of humor is so dry and just offbeat. I love the creepy music that they play whenever she comes on the scene.
That's a sharp outfit, Chan. Careful, you could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea. Because it's so sharp.
I love Azula. I love her. And then much like Lilo, I find sticking to trends is very hard because I like what I like, I don't what I don't, and I typically don't like things that are popular outside of, you know, current cartoons. I am obsessed with 60s, 70s, and 80s music. I just do. And I've been like that since I was little. So the reason why I relate so much to Lilo is just because I like the things that she likes, with the exception of Elvis. I think that Elvis has some good songs, but I don't really like him per se. Elvis has done some terrible things. However, I just get who Lilo is. And I just love how just strange Lilo and Stitch are together. They're both misfits. And nowadays, people are able to celebrate their differences to a certain extent because I think that society is still regressive. However, growing up, this just wasn't the common thing to do, and still to this day, some people are demonized for their interests, just like Lilo's demonized. She is basically being punished by society for being true to who she is. Like, much of what Lilo experiences is a result of her basically trying to act out to get Nani's attention, and to find answers and to cope with the death of her parents, but a lot of that is just her. She is strange, and that should be fine. But what I found most notable about the film is that Lilo finds her people. So Lilo's whole life changes when she meets Stitch, who is a blue alien who was created by Jumba, who is just extremely destructive, but he likes the same things that Lilo likes, and he's able to learn from his destructive behavior. And stop self-sabotaging and hurting people that he loves. So that's really cool. He's also into Elvis. He likes all the creepy stuff that Lilo likes. He's gross. Like, he's just this kooky alien that just brings so much joy into her life, because without Stitch, we wouldn't have Jumba, Pleakley, and the softer side of Cobra. You know, like, we wouldn't have any of that. So I'm just happy that he brought some light into her life. And Stitch too is an outcast because he was created for a not so great reason, but he was able to turn that on its head, and he did not get along with the people in Lilo's town because he was just too strange and disruptive. But he learned how to blend in a little bit, but also how to be himself and create a new path in life for himself. So I really do love Stitch, and I think that Stitch's introduction into Lilo's life is just to show how sometimes what we want and what we need just comes in, you know, unexpected ways and in odd packaging. She has Jumba, who is a weird outcast scientist who is supposed to be an evil scientist, an evil genius, but he's not that evil if we really want to talk about that. Like, he programmed Stitch to destroy San Francisco, but also to steal everyone's left shoe. The world is Jumba's oyster. However, he just wants to take people's left shoe. Like, that is so weird. Like, who thinks to do things like that? But I find that oddly satisfying that Jumba is just so strange. We have Pleakley, who is obsessed with mosquitoes, which I'm not. But that's just, you know, too much. But I can understand just having weird obsessions. Like, I've been obsessed with ladybugs and butterflies for the longest. Like, yes, sometimes I save ladybugs. And Pleakley is very, you know, gender non-conforming or gender fluid, actually. So he's been kind of outcast, or they is what we should really be calling Pleakley. They have been outcast. And then Cobra Bubbles, who is literally fighting with aliens and trying to protect the world. But what I love most about Lilo and Stitch is that, again, Lilo finds her people. They are not the perfect family, but their family is perfect to them.
This is my family. I found it all on my own. It's little and broken, but still good.
And that was just one of the biggest takeaways from this film, is that it's okay to be weird because eventually you'll find your people as long as you stay true to who you are. And it's okay to be weird and like weird things. Lilo acted out, and she did some of the creepy stuff that she did because of the death of her parents and her struggling to find answers and just not being able to fit in. She needed a resource. But all of that, but a lot of the things that she did is just who she is. She's not into popular or trendy things. She's just quirky and dark and creepy, and I just really do love it. And I will forever love Lilo and Stitch because I just relate so much to her, being an outcast, going through trauma, and just finding my people. And I'm happy that I found you all, or you found me. But thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Did you relate to Lilo and Stitch coming up? Please list that in the comment section below if you have. And what were your personal takeaways from Lilo and Stitch? Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.